Hello and welcome. Today we're looking at the reactions of aldehydes and ketones with nucleophiles. So if you look at question number 1, we have that ketone reacting with water, and water actually gives OH nucleophile. Because it's a neutral nucleophile, it loses one hydrogen and therefore you end up adding OH. And therefore the product is going to be the carbonyl carbon will become an alcohol. So anytime you add a nucleophile, you get an alcohol, and then you get a nucleophile, which is OH in this case, added to that position, and therefore you have two OH groups on that carbon, and that's called a hydrate. Hydrates will behave like the corresponding ketone or aldehyde in reactions. Question number 2. Here we're using the same ketone, now reacting with the base, sodium hydroxide, and that actually gives the OH minus. So it's a negatively charged nucleophile. Again, you end up with a product where now the carbonyl becomes an alcohol, and then you add the nucleophile, the OH, and we still have this carbon there. And that's also a hydrate. Question number 3, we're using this ketone with sodium cyanide, which actually gives the CN minus. So that's carbon triple bond nitrogen minus one carbon, and that will be the nucleophile. You end up with this product where the carbonyl now turns into an alcohol, and now you have the cyanide nucleophile added. And in this case, we have cyanide and OH connected to the same carbon, and that's called cyanohydrin. Question number 4, we're using that ketone plus a Grignard reagent, so alkyl magnesium chloride, and therefore that will give the alkyl ion. R minus will be the nucleophile, and therefore you end up with a product. The carbonyl turns to an alcohol, and now you add the alkyl group, which in this case is CH3, and that's a nucleophile, and you end up with that as the product, which is actually an alcohol. Next question, we're using an aldehyde, and that means we have a hydrogen here. And then we're reacting that with hydrogen cyanide, which is a neutral nucleophile, but eventually you end up transferring the cyanide part, and you end up with the carbonyl becoming an OH. You still have the other hydrogen, and now we've added the cyanide. So it becomes a cyanohydrin, just like we saw here. Thank you very much for your time. Please subscribe.